Very bright here. Good morning. Unless I smile, you won't be able to see me. That's probably why the light is so bright here. Good to be here. Um, I don't know how to start this. It's been very emotional ride for me. I praise God first of all for all the things He's done in my life. I'm not fit to be in this spot, in this position. God is the only one who enabled me to be here. Rock Point, thank you for what you've done through my life from the time I joined this church. You've been very supportive of the work we do in Ethiopia. My wife is here somewhere, Joyce, and then my sister-in-law Marlene and my daughters. If they were not supportive, I would not be able to do the work I do in Ethiopia. At times going for a month and a half to Ethiopia, 2 to 3 times a year. Individuals in this church who have been so supportive of the work I do, thank you for what you have done. On January 8th, I phoned Irene, the accounting person in the church. As you know, earlier I had this 5-minute video on what I've been doing in Ethiopia, wanting help from you to support the ministry, the trauma healing. I was phoning Irene to ask how much money has come because we promised 100 people to do trauma healing in Ethiopia. I wasn't sure. And nervously, I waited. And she told me the amount of money that came. Rock Point, you've come through. Not for 100 people, for 103 people. I paced in my house back and forth, overwhelmed by the goodness of God. I felt that the windows of heaven just opened up. Jesus was just walking with me at that time. I was so emotional. I thought of the people that Jesus healed when he was in this world. The blind people who could see, the people who were dead and risen. What words did they use? 2 songs we sang before about the goodness of God, about our gratitude. I had no words, but silently sit there. May the Lord who does the unthinkable and the unexpected be blessed forever. The scripture verses we just read, I'll spend about 5 to 8 minutes on that part, not on the whole passage, but on verse 16. The people who sat in darkness have seen a great light. For those who lived in the land where death cast its shadow, a light has shined. The darkness that the Bible talks about here, this is, first of all, from Isaiah 9:2, a prophecy that was done. The people who walk in darkness, it says in Isaiah. In this one, he says the people who sit in darkness. Now, maybe at that time, there is no physical scripture verses that people can quote. Like us, we can read so many different Bibles here. They take the thoughts. Maybe that is the reason. It said people who walk in the dark and now people who sit in the dark. Because for me, I like to think because I have experienced that physically, mentally, emotionally, and then spiritually, this darkness. I like to think that when people are sitting, walking in darkness, after a while, you lose that reference point and you just give up and you sit. Maybe that's what was happening to these people. Hundreds and hundreds of years have gone since this prophecy was done, that light coming. And they walk, and they sit. That's exactly what happened in my life. In that darkness, I walked for many years and eventually giving up and sitting down. To tell you a little bit about this light that comes, a long, long time ago, missionaries came to Ethiopia, brought this light, the gospel, to my parents who were teenagers at the time. They were living in the dark. They were in the demonic world. And here comes this good news, the light. Especially my father, who said, no way, this kind of news, this kind of amazing thing will be free because they're sitting in the dark. This little light that came by these missionaries from Canada, United States, and Europe brought this light, the good news. They accepted it. They went on to be light to people in Ethiopia. For those of you who know my story, because of my faith and speaking up, I've been in jail many times, tortured. I remember this moment in jail, sitting in the darkness. Once it's at night, there is no light at all. I always woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning, which happens to this day. And I look, when there is a moonlight, there's a tiny little light that comes through that darkness. How much I enjoyed looking at that light. As the morning came slowly through the cracks of this jail we were in, the light coming in, that hope, maybe someday I get to see the light, the real light. Darkness and gloom happens today in our life, in our society. The world, it's an uncertain world we live in. Rock Point is not new to spreading the gospel or to bringing this light to people. Whether it's Bow Ridge, West Hills, or Bearspaw, you've been involved in so many community work and mission work around the world to bring this light to people who are in darkness. For that, I thank you. You've used me also to bring light to people who live and walk in darkness in Ethiopia. There is profound urgency today in the world. There are so many people around us living in the dark. Before we bring light to the world, to our communities, to our families, to our friends, we need to know the depths of this darkness, which is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. There are millions in our neighborhood, in our community, anticipating this light. Like I was in that dark room, anticipating that light, that little light that comes through. There are millions of people here wanting that light, anticipating it. Hope is that small light most seek, that we have in abundance as Christians with Christ in us. Those of you who are believers, we carry that light in abundance. Are we sharing that light or are we keeping it? There are so many looking for that light. Do you know, as individuals here today, as rock pointers, that people who live in the dark, whether it's your friends, your family, in your community, do you know people like that? Are there people here today, also even here within the congregation, that you're living or sitting in the dark? There is hope. That light is available today. Those of you who have been in the house of the Lord for many years, you have that light in abundance. Those of you who are new, just joined into this family, slowly, that light will brighten up. We're always responsible to pass this light. In Isaiah, if you read further in chapter 9, there is that verse we're all familiar with, the child is born. But it goes on to say, Wonderful Counselor, a mighty God, everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. People can be wonderful. People can be mighty. People can be fathers to us. We even know some people who are princes. A person can be wonderful, but cannot be a counselor forever to transform your life. People can be mighty. We may know in history or in person someone who is mighty, but that person cannot be God. All of us have fathers, whether present or absent, but they cannot be everlasting. There are so many princes in history, and today they cannot bring peace to this world. That light, Jesus Christ, is the only one who can be a wonderful counselor, a mighty God, everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. You have access to that today. In Ethiopia, we bring this light through so many different ministries, but one of the main one I've been involved in the last 3 years is trauma healing, giving hope, restoring dignity, reflecting the love of Christ. This year, my trip was January 11 to about February 26. I just returned on Thursday. So in Africa, when we preach or when we speak, it is ours. So don't worry, because I've been up since 3 a.m. in the morning. By 11 o'clock, I should be done or be falling asleep. So if you are in Ethiopia, like I take people with me and they said, like, how long do I preach? What do I preach on? And I said, whatever God put in your heart. How long do I have? As long as you want. We're not going to do that here today because I'm tired. I took about 17 people to Ethiopia. About 10 of them were young guys from YWAM, Australia, including my daughter. It was just the most amazing time for me to take them to show them the work we're involved in Ethiopia, evangelical work, food delivery, microloan, trauma healing, all this work I was able to show them. This invitation goes to you, to anyone here who wants to go to Ethiopia. Every year I go, about January. That's the time I take people. It's cold here. It's sunny there. So trauma healing is bringing light to those in the dark. We just read Matthew 4:16. One of the ways we bring this light is through trauma healing. And I'll try to put up, if possible, this slide on the trauma healing picture, if possible. The next slide. I want to explain what trauma healing is all about. When trauma hits a person, the first thing that happens is shock and then pain. In that shock and pain, these people become silent. And after they process the pain and the shock, they're in the darkness, sitting in the darkness, seeking for that light. In that shock and pain, they want to be heard, so they want to go try to tell people about their trauma. But if no one hears them, no one understands them, four things happen between want to be heard and then they'll go on to complain. Number one is silence. That's what happened to me after my trauma. Then I tried to talk to people. I tried to explain to people what happened to me. People didn't understand, so I was silent for over 30 years. Number two is people who talk a lot. And they might be short-tempered, they may act up, they may be violent, they may be loud in all the things that they do. This is the second thing that happens. Number 3 is addiction. Number 4, the worst, is taking their own lives. And that process of this trauma healing process, when we put people through this and try to identify what they're going through at that stage, we push them into the deep grief back to the original trauma, which is very hard to understand and explain because I am doing this based on my personal experience. And then on my slide, it's not there, but just recently I learned that it is like a slide going down. And until about a month ago, I did not know this. What we do is we bring them to deep grief and take them to the cross. That's what I thought was happening, but it is not what happens. You slide all the way down back to the trauma. To bringing people to that stage makes them feel like, I need that light, I need that cross, I need Jesus. And the whole process goes to bring it to the cross or to the Creator. Once they slide down, the only way up to the cross is through that light, through Jesus. That's what we do with people. On the next slide, you will see the whole process of trauma healing. So what we do to these people who come to a trauma healing program, you can ask me for this picture if you want. You can take a picture. Many people like this. And if someone, after I went through trauma, showed me just this picture without doing anything, I would have been healed. And then the next process is to bring it to the cross from the bottom of the trauma. When you bring it to the cross, that's when the healing starts to happen. What we do with people is that at that stage, when they're in deep grief and back into the trauma, we ask them to write their trauma in a piece of paper. If there are Christians or evangelicals, we say to the cross. We put it in a bucket of water, a paper that disintegrates in water. If they're Muslims, they don't understand the idea of water a lot, so we put it in a metal bucket, we burn it. So far, in all the things that we're doing in Ethiopia, there's always been about 100% success into the healing process. I will show you the numbers for what that you guys have done with the trauma healing. So they go to the cross. There's 103 people. We asked for 100 people for Rock Point to come through. You've done 103 people. That is remarkable. You see the number. We did 20 young girls who were violated many times during the war. 100% healed. Out of those, 6 accepted Christ. 3 rescued from suicide or addiction. 20 Ethiopian Jews that you don't know that there are Jews exist in Ethiopia. They're the lost tribe of Dan who are in Ethiopia. They're marginalized. They're hated because they're intuitive. They're good with their hands, doing woodwork, silver, gold, metal. Because they know a lot of things intuitively, they're considered demonic. They're considered evil, so they're pushed into their own areas. We have 20 of these people coming. 18 of them have been healed. 9 Jews have accepted Christ. 4 were rescued from suicide and addiction. The number goes on. The Orthodox priests that we have, they came to us. Usually it's unusual for Orthodox people to come and ask us an evangelical material to be taught. They are so hostile to evangelical work that they asked us, we said, okay. They came for this. 3 accepted Christ secretly, not officially, and 1 was rescued from considering suicide. The most impactful for me was this 43 women who were given to us by the government, about 80% of them Muslim. They came and then the first day, usually on the third day is when people open up, telling their trauma, telling what they went through. On the first day, they started to open up. They said that the government and the health institution told them to be silent. For 2 years, they had been silent. When they came, without us even starting the trauma healing program, they started to open up and tell us. For those of you who want, in the next few months, I'll have the detailed report of the stories. And here it's not an appropriate place to talk about what they had gone through. It's painful. Even as as I was reading some of it that was coming through last night in the middle of the night, it was very difficult to read it. That darkness we talk about is very dark for many people. After the trauma, the program at the end, a lot of times when we do this, violated women, men don't get involved. We don't go in there. At the beginning, most of the time I go and I either tell the story of Hagar or Joseph, the trauma from the Bible or from the Quran. The same story, different kind of translations. When I talk about them, they understand that. And I did not expect to go back there when the trauma healing program is finished. What touched my heart was this gift of love they had at the end of the session. The women said they wanted me to come back in the last day. And they bought me this blanket, white cotton blanket called Gabi in Ethiopia. It's cold, it's a mountainous area, it's cold in that area. So they gave it to me as a gift. They can't afford that gift. Every day we provided lunch for them. One day they skipped lunch. 43 women skipping their lunch, putting the money together and buying this cotton blanket for me. One of my daughters said at one time, at 15 years old, when I took her back to Ethiopia, she came back and people were asking her, what impresses you the most about the people there? She said, they have nothing, but they give you everything. This is what this ladies did. They said, this blanket is just for you. If we can afford, we'll send it to all the people who supported this. That is their heart, their gratitude towards you. One of the ladies from here, she said, you heard of internal bleeding? I had internal tears for years. Today, she said, those tears came out. We have never expected for this lady to say this. At the end, crying and wailing, she jokingly said, in our area, there is water issues, water problems. We don't have enough water. Maybe if someone tapped into my eyes today, we'll get enough water for the village. And she laughed, and then she said, this is the first time I laughed. A guy named Ermias hated everyone around him, he said. Everyone. He was on a revenge spree. Because of what happened to him, he's paying back. He came to this trauma healing. As you see, going to the cross and kneeling by the cross, he dropped everything. Forgiveness, love, because of that light that shined in the darkness because of your support. Samrawit is another lady. Her story is the most incredible one to me. One of our evangelists, he was coming after lunch back to the church, and he sees this lady fainted sitting or lying on the street. Nobody's doing anything. People are walking by, some are just watching. She had foam in her mouth. And he goes down trying to help her. He revives her. And he said, "What happened to you?" And then she says, "I have medication that I take. It's been a while. I have not taken the medication that I needed. I don't have the money." She came from displaced people camp to beg for money. Before that, she fainted. It is only probably about $5 Canadian a month. So the guy stands there and asking people, "Give me 5, give me 10, give me whatever," and then collects all this money. And he said, "Here you go. For a month, you have enough to go buy your medicine." So he thought she's going to go buy medicine. She follows him. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to follow you." "I'm going to church." "Okay, I'll go to church." In that area, church means an Orthodox church. About 98% are Orthodox believers. So you don't openly talk about that light or talk about the gospel. She followed him to the church. The pastor came, the two of them were praying for her. She violently started to scream. She was demon possessed. She was freed from that through the prayer. It took hours, they said. And eventually, she woke up from this and then she said, "Where am I? How did I get here?" And eventually, the pastor told her what had happened. She said the last thing she remembered was she was wanting to end it all. She was jumping into the semi-trucks that were coming on the highway. "How did I come out of that?" she said. Someday the story will be told. We put her through trauma healing program. She was not only delivered from demon possession, she did not only accept that light, she's also healed from her trauma. And one of the, it's a girl named Sherwit. After I shared the story of Hagar at the end of this trauma session, she said to you, the supporters, "You reached out to us in the most critical time. We asked God to remember us, and He did. You are to us like the angel of the Lord who saw Hagar and restored hope. God, El Roi, did see us through you. We praise Him and we thank Him for bringing us that light." Burhan, another evangelist she works with the Ethiopian Jews. I had coffee with her one morning. She wanted to personally come and say thank you. This is what she says. "What expressions or words can we use to say thank you other than giving heartfelt praise to God for you? Words, tears, or even pure joy does not express our gratitude towards your generosity. Like Christ, you showed love in action. We do not know each other, but Christ knows us both. We cannot wait to be in heaven when Christ returns to worship together and express our gratitude. Her name is Burhan. Incidentally, that Burhan in Amharic means light. That same lady Samrawit who was delivered, saved, and then healed said this: "You chose to bring love from the most privileged place in the world," talking about Canada. "To us, this is an expression of pure love. It will be told for generations to come, impacting many lives." And she says, "Thank you." We hope to do in the next few trips 200 more people traumatized. We want to bring healing to them. In places where it's unreached places, we want to send 20 more evangelists to bring the gospel. We want to certify 12 more people in the Ethiopian Jews area, because if we have their own people teaching this trauma healing program, it will be more effective. You can get involved in all this. There is a picture I have at the end that says, "A light has shined." The smiles of these ladies tell it all. For me, there is nothing so wonderful than to see these people who were in that dark place coming to the light and smiling and being grateful. All this was possible because of your generosity. Rock Point, thank you. My gratitude at the end, I want to leave this verse with you. My favorite prayer in the Bible is from 1 Chronicles 4:10. The prayer of Jabez, most of you know. He was the one who prayed to God of Israel, saying, "Oh, that you would bless me and expand my territory. Please be with me in all that I do and keep me from all troubles and pain." And God granted him his request. My prayer for you is for God to bless you, for God to expand your influence like you did to Ethiopia, all the way through Ethiopia from here, for God to continue to expand your influence, for his hands to be upon you and then to keep you from harm. This is all I wanted to say. Like those people who were traumatized said, that there's no words that can express the gratitude we have for all the things that you've done to bring that light into the darkness, whether it's here in our community, in the city of Calgary, in Canada, around the world. This is what God has called us to do, to bring that light. Go and shine that light. Thank you for your time, and God bless you. I'll call the worship team this time.